written more than 45 books. And Ranjit sir is here with us in the hall. I would request sir to please join us here. Can we clap for him?
It could be birds, it could be fish. You know, nature is so enormous that there is something for everybody to get interested in about nature. Now, I started getting interested in birds. So that was one of my sort of specialities. I like looking at birds, observing them. Now for birds, normally for bird watching, what do you think you need most? You need your eyes, your nose, your ears, your hands. What do you need the most?
Eyes.
Ears is number one in my opinion, because it's only when you hear a bird that you know it's there, and then you can go looking for it and see it. So that's what I hold as number one importance in observing nature. Now I'm going to tell you what happened to me exactly by listening. I've gone to Goa a long time ago for a holiday in summer. Now we all know birds sing. Now why do birds sing? Anybody knows why? Yeah, with the hat.
To attract mates.
And, yeah, correct, that's perfect. And to declare their territory. That, you know, they say, it's generally the male birds who sing. And they sing, as he said, to attract a girlfriend and to tell other male birds that this whole area where you can hear me singing is my territory and don't you dare come here and try to steal the territory or steal my girlfriend, because they will be in trouble. You know? So that any outside male bird will say over here, oh God, this whole area is occupied by not one fellow, but by 3 or 4 fellows. One fellow I could fight maybe and win, but 3 or 4 fellows I can't, this is hopeless. I can't do that. So he would not come near that area. So this guy, by singing these 3 or 4 different songs from the same area, is claiming a territory much larger than he would otherwise be able to, and he would be boasting to his girlfriend. I've got 3 buildings, I've got a swimming pool, I've got all these lovely flowery hedges full of insects. How can you not stay? You have to stay with me and all that. So that was his trick. That's it. Now this is what happens in real life. How do you convert this into a story? So this is sort of thing. Anybody has any ideas how this can be made into a story? A story is fiction. So basically you have to say, what if this were to happen? And this was the background in which I set my story. So I had this magpie robin, who I call Mad Mozart. Mozart is a very good musician a long time ago. So Mad Mozart had a similar area, 3 buildings, swimming pool, lush garden, and all that, and he sings this beautiful song early in the morning. And nearby there's another a female who I call Melody. She listens to his song and she is quite impressed. So she comes the next day to check things out. And he offers her worms and he offers her beetles. I said, would you like to stay with me all day? Give me a day or 2. I was also in this area. She might go to Karnel. Then I gets up on the same area. The next morning he sings his own song and he keeps quiet after a while and then sings another even more beautiful song. And then he says, now she's happy enough. Melody lands up and he is initially very happy here and there and all that. And he says, are you feeling all right? You got a headache or is there anything I could give you? A worm or something like that? Not really. You know, I know you sing beautifully, but this morning I heard another magpie robin who was singing even more beautifully. I want to go and find him. How can I make this habit? How can I turn this thing into a story? She goes at colleges like all the others, but she's very independent. His manager who called this Khana Pani, believe in this regimented form of existence. So she goes, and one day she discovers a fridge. Somebody opens the fridge door, she goes inside, and she finds, there are jam jars, there are all sorts of goodies. That fridge is full. And now her duty is to go back to the colony and report that I found this. But the fridge door shuts, so she's locked inside. So she waits. And eventually the fridge door is opened again by somebody. And she comes out. And she says, look, I am not going to tell the rest of the colony that this fridge is mine. That this fridge is there. And you can get your jams and jellies and whatever your chocolate, cake, pastry, whatever, is full of such goodies. So this is going to be my private property. This whole big fridge, stuffed with all these goodies, is just for me. And so she goes back to the colony. She is very late. So there's one guard called Panga. He asks her, where have you been? What have you been looking around? You have to report to Khana Pani and tell her all these things. So she makes some excuse that I got late because I was nearly stepped on or something like that. Give some excuse or whatever. But this food and beverage manager is suspecting something funny. So the next time Chinito goes off on an expedition, she orders Panga, the guard, to follow her. So Panga follows her. Sure enough, she goes to the fridge. The fridge door is open. She goes inside. The Panga follows. And he sees, so this is what she's been up to. She's been keeping this from the whole colony. Now she's finished dead. So she is now on the top of a jam jar, looking inside. And he creeps up behind her and he yells, you're under arrest. She gets such a shock, she falls into the jam. And now you know what jam is like. It's sticky. So poor thing can't get out. So she says, please help me. She says, I'll do anything, please get out. Now, other stories you can write, monkeys. Now, Delhi is full of monkeys. I stay near the northern ridge, and there must be about 3,000 or 4,000 monkeys over there. Now, how do you write stories? Now, when I came, I used to live in Bombay, and when we came to Delhi in 1980, I didn't very much like the people there, and there were a lot of monkeys in the place that I was living in. So, my thing was, I didn't like it all. The monkeys would come, on your veranda, all your clothes are dry, they parade with your clothes, they try to wear your clothes, they bounce on the car, bend the roof, take the mirror off, look at their faces. So I was annoyed. And I was also annoyed with the people over here, including sometimes your bosses. So I said, I must write a story in which I can include both of these. So I wrote a soap opera-like story about a vagabond monkey called Altu Faltu. He used to live on the ridge, and he was a complete wastrel, useless. Basically, he was just a brother. And there was, on the ridge also, there was this clan of monkeys which was ruled by a chieftain. He had 3 wives, BB8, BB, no PBC. And he had this lovely daughter called Rani Beti. Rani Beti meets Altu Faltu one night at the his hitman after these two could get them back. Now what I did was a lot of these characters in the book, the monkeys, there was another monkey called Bade Battamiz, who was a chieftain, and also the characters. A lot of these characters actually were people, the people I didn't like. And my whole idea was I am going to have such fun with this book because I can write what I like about these people. I converted them into monkeys. And none of these people can take me to court and say, tell the judge, your lordship, I am this monkey in the book. Because the moment they said that, the judge would say, well, if you're saying you're a monkey, then you're a monkey. What is the complaint? So this is how, I have a lot of fun doing these sort of things. So now you guys have got to think, how can you observe You have to observe nature. You have to see what happens. Again, give fruit to all the animals. It's known as a kingpin tree. If the fig trees were to go, the forest would die. Because figs flower through the year. They are not really seasonal. So at some point or the other in a forest, a fig or a banyan tree would be flowering. No, you can write on anything you like. I'm not giving you any topic to write on now. I'm just giving you ideas that if you observe, like for example the strangled fig, you can use this idea of tree strangling. It may not be another tree, it could be a person. You know, if it works in quick time, in fast motion, it could be strangling a person. And these fig trees are, I mean, you might have seen people trees, their roots. Yeah, you have something to say?
Yeah, sir, don't the banyan trees keep their host alive? I thought that if their host dies in the banyan trees.
No, by that time they are able to look after themselves because their roots are in the ground and their leaves are up in the air. So they get their oxygen, their nourishment, the sunlight, they're getting on their own. And they are able to live on planet around. I saw one of these triangular figs in Orbit Park. It was frightening. It's just a scaffolding, a round scaffolding of roots and things like that. And they are leaves, and inside there's nothing there. And just to think that there was once a living tree inside that is mind-boggling. On the seabed is bizarre, you won't believe it. And there is so much scope for writing stories on these things. It's just unimaginable. Yeah, you have something to say?
Yeah. Why wasn't she freezed?
They managed. If summer, it was probably not working that much, that well. And she was having jam and jelly. She was getting all the energy from the sugar that she was having. She was taking. But that is a good point because insects, you don't find insects in winter. Because they are, they don't like the cold. So that is a good point. See, that's a very good observation that you make. And again, this fridge was being opened. Like in summer, we always opening the fridge, for something or that, for a cold drink or ice cream or whatever it is. So it was not as if it was in winter, cold case. Now in the story now, I have caterpillar, and this caterpillar is being observed by a praying mantis. Now, have you seen a praying mantis?
Yes.
Slim and skinny and chinless and big, bulbous eyes. And anyway, this praying mantis has a taste of butterflies. But she doesn't want to take the trouble of catching them. So what she tells this caterpillar is, what are you doing to yourself eating like this? Are you mad? How much weight have you put out? How much weight have you put out? Everybody's on a slim thing these days. Everybody's on a diet, this diet, that diet. And you're hogging away? What nonsense. So she becomes this caterpillar's trainer. So she makes sure this caterpillar is not eating as much as she ought to. And the poor caterpillar dies because caterpillar needs to eat and she's being denied it. So she somehow manages to keep this diet and all that. But then one day she meets this other butterfly who has crumpled wings, who can't fly. And this other butterfly says, what the hell do you think you're doing? Going on a diet? Are you up to your mind? She said, oh, did this praying mantis tell you this? She said, yes. She said, you know why she told you this? Because she knows that if you don't eat properly as a caterpillar, you are not going to develop as properly as a butterfly. Your wings, you are not going to be able to fly. And if you cannot fly, always more easy for the praying mantis to make a meal out of it. So that is what this praying mantis' scheme was. So here again, I have used the behavior of these caterpillars and butterflies, and I actually have seen this happening. I've seen caterpillars have, and I've seen sometimes, if they haven't been, if they're sickly or whatever, the butterfly emerges with these crumpled wings and cannot fly. So it is based on that, yeah.
So which book have you written all these amazing stories in?
Well, there's a book called The Caterpillar Who Went on a Diet and Other Stories.
Okay.
And there's another one called The Parakeet That Squawked in English that has bird stories.
So,
Yeah, you wanted to read your story, yes? Yeah, come.
My name is Shivranjani. My hobby is to write stories and poems. I compose my own songs. We were living a very, very peaceful life, weren't we? But then, this evil virus, known as the coronavirus, spread throughout the world. No one was allowed to step outside the house. I was not allowed to even go in the garden. I had to wear a mask all day long.
Sam was sleeping comfortably after a long tiring day. He suddenly heard strange sounds by a bird at the crack of dawn. He was fuming with anger as he was sleepy and could not sleep. Finally, the magpie robin stopped and he was relieved. The next day, the same thing happened. It started irritating and disturbing Sam. They stopped after some minutes. At the third day, when she again sang aloud, Sam was furious and tried to make it fly away. The bird did not even move a bit. Sam felt suspicious and then realized it was time for his office. After his long time at the office, he then went to the library. Then he read a book on different bird sounds and got to know what the bird was doing. The story's name is The Magpie and the Ant. Once upon a time, there was an ant who was very cheerful and happy. She used to live in an old wooden dog. She was very excited as she was going on a school trip to the woods. But she was very sad as everyone treated her badly because she was poor. One time, she was even slapped by her enemy. So she thought not to go in front of the other ants. She went and sat in a lonely corner in a tree. Just then, she met a young magpie of her age. The magpie asked her, "Why are you shy and sad?" She said, "I am poor, so everyone hates me. I do not want to be poor. Can you help me?" The magpie said cunningly and had a sly smile on his face and said yes. So when the ant was going out, the magpie swallowed the ant and said, "Silly ant who believed me." The end.
I'm very, very silly, I can tell you that. Because I told you that they leave a trail when they go from their colonies out. Now, one morning I woke up, I went to the bathroom, and I have a soap dish, which is round like a plate. And there was this big black ant going round and round the rim of the soap dish. So I said, okay, it's getting his morning exercise, walking. Okay. 7 o'clock it was doing that, 9 o'clock it was doing that, 11 o'clock it was doing that, 2 o'clock in the afternoon it was still doing that. I was barely being able to walk the thing. And then suddenly it struck me what was happening. It was following its own scent round and round the rim of the plate, thinking that its own scent would take it home, and not realizing that it was going around in circles, which is exactly what happens to us when we get lost in the jungle. We go around in circles. And this has actually happened in the wild too. When these forest giants, they form these colonies and they go marching. If by any chance they fall upon their own trail, they will go round and round. It's called an ant circle or something like that. And they will go on marching round and round till they drop dead. So that's how powerful their instinct is. So, you guys have got to read up about nature because there are so many fascinating things. Sometimes it's even more, you can't believe that even a fiction writer like me, this cannot happen. But it's true, these funny things happen. In seahorses, it's the gentleman who gives birth to babies, not the ladies. She puts her eggs in his pouch and he looks after them. So there are all sorts of amazing things that happen. So you have to read up as much as you can, and from there, use that knowledge as a springboard for your stories. Because then your stories will have more depth. And then you will keep your reader believing, hey, maybe this can happen. So I think on that note, we will conclude today.
Thank you so much. Such sessions, such lovely stories. We have a wonderful, wonderful facilitator / teacher here with us. Please join me in welcoming Sonal Goyal. For the past 15 years, Sonal ma'am has been drawing characters and bringing them to life. And today she is here to share with you about her knowledge about Indian folk art traditions. And hopefully she will also make you practice a lot of them. I hope you will be a wonderful classroom.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Are you sure?
Yesterday also an art workshop yesterday with Savie sir.
Yes.
He's the art director at Tinkle Amar. I also work for Tinkle and Amar Katha. I'm a freelance illustrator. That's the general intro about Amar Katha. It was founded by Anand Pai sir in 1967. And Amar Katha initially worked on a lot of religious themes. Amar Katha started publishing a children's magazine for Tinkle. I think many of you must have read this, right? Supandi, Champu Shikari. You all are familiar with those characters, right? So Tinkle, I've got a few Tinkles for you. They'll be given to you. You can read them after the session. I would like okay. So mandala is basically practice. It's a form of you can say rangoli, but not exactly rangoli. It is used for a lot of spiritual and religious purposes, and it's basically used by Buddhists and Hindus. So if you happen to visit any Buddhist monastery or something, you will find a lot of Buddhist monks making mandalas over there. They use it for meditation purposes also. Next is kalamkari. Kalamkari is a very detailed and intricate folk art, and it is done on clothes. It's done on cloth. The other folk arts are usually done on floor. Yes, that's why it says kalamkari, because they make a bamboo, a kalam out of bamboo stick. Yes, and they first do the outline, and then they fill it in with colors, all on cloth. That is why it's called kalamkari. She very rightly said that. And the next is Gond art. Gond is again, I think, Madhya Pradesh, right? I'm not very sure.
I think so.
I think it's Madhya Pradesh. Gond is a tribe. It's a very big tribe. I think it's Madhya Pradesh. And the chief characteristic of Gond art is it uses very bright and it's very bright colors, and it's very colorful. Okay, so these are mandala art styles. As I was telling you, these Buddhist monks, they create these mandala arts, and they use colorful powder colors, again all natural powder colors. And you can see that in the first slide on the top, those Buddhist monks are, they have this small instrument, and they pour in the colors through that. This is mandala art. This is what is practiced majorly in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, and as you can see, the one on the bottom left, these two are probably some forms of gods or goddesses. Which they use these very rudimentary forms, very basic structures, and this becomes a motive for worship in this kind of art. This is kalamkari. This is done on cloth, and this is a very painstaking process, because once they do the outlining, then they fill in the colors again using a pen. That pen is also not this ordinary sketch pen. It's created using a bamboo reed, natural dyes, to create some illustration for some storybook that I was working on. So the above ones are the authentic Gond arts. Those are my takes on that. It's turning in that beard is turning into some deer kind of a form, and that deer horns are carrying birds and all that. So there's a lot of fantasy element involved, which makes it very interesting. And the colors are obviously very, very bright and very vibrant. So Worli art basically uses basic shapes: circle, triangle, and square, right? And it's very symbolic. A circle can stand for a sun, moon,
Ma'am,
and universe. Yes?
we also use lines.
Yes. I am coming to that. I am coming to that. Yes.
Ma'am, human face. Ma'am, what about Earth?
Yes, Earth also. That's a circle, yes.
Do we need to draw that circle?
Sorry?
Do we need to draw that circle?
You can draw the circle.
I have the back page of this.
You can draw a circle. Everybody can draw a circle, right?
This something is the universe.
It can be a universe also. It's your wish. You want to remember it, or if you can memorize it, it's okay. Great. Square for them symbolizes land. So these are the basic shapes which are used in Goyal, and then there are a lot of lines. Straight lines, horizontal lines, diagonal lines, whatever. Right? Taking hands and hands. No, this is partial lines. This is separate from lines.
These are just hands.
For creating hands, for drawing, when you start drawing, so when you draw a human figure, you need some basic lines. I need something to dust this one. Okay. We draw another human character with a smaller. This one's a male. It's got a bigger triangle on top, a smaller one at the bottom. This one will have a smaller triangle on the top, a bigger one at the bottom.
Ma'am, why aren't you wearing?
Two triangles and whatever direction you want to show the hands and feet and the legs in. So you use the lines accordingly. These other shapes, drawing hairstyle like this and all that. Only art mein ye nahi hota hai. So let's just avoid this. Like a bow. A bow kind of a thing. Human body had the triangles connected like this. And this is sideways. Just flip it around. Right? This one looks like a timepiece. And this one looks like a fallen timepiece.
Mom, it's an infinity sign without curves.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's a bow.
It's when you have two pizza slices with their corners connected.
It's a lot of things. Okay.
Don't make me hungry.
So let's draw the face. A triangle over here.
Ma'am, it can be a reindeer.
Yes.
BTS is
Even you can fill in the two triangles also. So this becomes the eye. The humans don't have any eyes or any nose or anything, but the animals they generally give an eye. Sorry about the sheet. Just make it a little larger.
So should I make it again?
You can draw it. One pair of antlers, one going from this side, one going from that side. And two small ears.
Ma'am said it's not allowed in authentic Goyal, but we can.
Sorry?
Can we ride a person on that?
Person?
Now, can we ride a person on that?
You can write, yes you can.
Wait, is that a...
Yes. Wow, beautiful. Lovely.
How's mine, ma'am? Ma'am,
Yeah,
can I have
good,
one
good,
paper?
good.
Man, the most weird reindeer in the world.
Can I see?
Actually, one horn is going this side and the other horn is going on Savie.
Ma'am, reindeer.
If you want more sheets, just ask where
You can get one and then
are you gonna? Okay. But we are here. What is that? Tail.
Mom, is it okay if the lines like intersect at the body? Example, you're not giving that so much of a damage.
If anybody wants तो 5 से ज़्यादा भी कर सकते हो इसको लाइंस को. You just drew your figure. You have to draw my.
What happened to my body?
The peacock is going to eat up the reindeer or what?
Yeah, it's looking.
Peacock is going to eat up. Yeah, it's looking at the reindeer. That's why it's visible in the eye.
Yeah, and the reindeer is looking at
the
and the reindeer is looking at
So that
I have already described the peacock.
You are violating.
yes, reindeer looking at you.
2 seconds ago over here. 2 seconds ago over here for the feathers, the small feathers, which don't enable the peacock to fly, but वो होते हैं. Then maybe some lines for a pattern. Because of what?
My legs.
Why? वो करंट लगाया उसको?
Genetically modified peacock.
एकदम beautiful यार, उसकी टोन पे तो क्या मस्त है, और उसके पैदान मतलब सुंदरता
I will send the picture in the group.
Hello. What? Okay, no problem.
medically modified.
Listen, no, always keeps talking.
Yes, ma'am. मेरी आदत है.
Land animals, we got this bird also, and then a fish.
I'm very easy.
No, because we are using basic shapes, circles, triangles, squares, rectangles, whatever. So, we use a fish with triangle. Fin, fish का fin, top and bottom पे 2 triangles, right? हो गया? ना नहीं मेरा. But you can draw mine also, no? I'll be happy. We give some patterns over here. Quickly, we don't have much time. You can fill up the fish with various patterns because Goyal uses a lot of patterns also. Yes. Traditionally it isn't, but we can.
Mom, my fish.
That's why I said bada banao. So you have so much space left on your sheet, no? These patterns are very similar across all folk arts, but the purpose and the way of using it varies.
Mom, is this fine?
See, so small. How will you draw the patterns in the body? There is no space. Very nice.
Mom, should we draw the eyebrow?
But you draw the eyebrow, right?
No, I'm not drawing the eyebrow.
It's on a mountain.
No, this one. We will replicate it and make a genetically modified species.
So you can make a larger genetically modified species.
Maybe you should call them like this.
Have you all finished drawing?
Yes,
Can we all hold out our boards once to
I'm
look
not
at
done.
what we hold our boards at whatever stage they are.
We
don't need to talk to hold out our boards at all. At all. Just hold out your boards so that give ma'am a chance to observe all the work that you have done.
Your order has been comprehended.
Yeah, you can say that. Yes. Right. Right, Dania? Something happening right now. Okay, but when you Google or read about contemporary fiction, they generally see anything that has happened after the Second World War is considered contemporary fiction. In literature, all of you are good storytellers. What do you think are the important aspects of a story? Yeah, around
The story.
the storyline, okay.
Ma'am.
Characters
The body.
are the body of the story.
I think there are many. There is the plot, there is the storyline, there is the antagonist, there is the protagonist, there are the characters.
Oh, wonderful. So there are many things together make a good story. Okay, you said the storyline, the plot, the characters. So today we will focus on the characters. Is that right? You have to keep your audience hooked to your story. They have to keep wondering what happened next. They have to turn the pages fast. And when I write, what I think is that I'm not competing with other books, but these days writers are competing with games, online games, with OTT, with television, with films. And when you see your series, your cartoons, there's always a cliffhanger. It's something that wants you to switch to the next episode. And that's the same in books. You have something that will make the reader turn the page.
Curious.
To pique their curiosity. So I know it's been a long day for you all, and you're all tired. So let's do a small activity. Right wherever you are. All of you have papers and pens?
No, I don't have my pencil.
Okay, I'm sure we can find your pencil. Okay, let us call that your thinking hat. Okay, draw a hat and decorate it or do whatever you want with it. I give you a hat, a headgear. It could be a hat, a crown, anything, something that you can wear on your head. A headgear. So I'm giving you, wait 1 minute. So now all of you have hats?
No, ma'am.
Okay, we need to make someone to, wear that hat now. You don't have to draw. You don't have to draw. Yeah. So now since you all have hats, you think of a character who would be wearing the hat.
Ma'am.
Oh, lovely. Think of a character. Yes. And what do you think makes a good character?
Ma'am, do I have to draw it there?
No, you shouldn't. Okay. What makes a good character? A hat is one of the things. A personality.
A silliness.
Silliness is part of the personality.
Its looks.
A look. So, what aspects do you give to a character?
His backstory.
A backstory,
A unique way of drawing.
ambition, or we could call it motivation. A characteristics, physical characteristics, flaws, strengths, advantages, disadvantages, positive traits, and negative traits.
Discipline.
These are part of the personality.
Ability.
No, he could be a disciplined person, or he could be an indisciplined person.
Sometimes a connectivity to the
That we call as a
so that we can relate to it, we can understand, to live like a character.
yes, so that we can get the connect with the audience.
We appeal.
Because when
As readers, when we see a character that's similar to us, we are drawn towards it naturally because we want to see how it goes. Maybe the antagonist or the protagonist.
exactly. So the good characters are the ones where the reader can relate himself or herself to. See, each character is different. So in a story, when you read about one character, you should immediately know without the name being mentioned that it is this particular character who is speaking in the story. The mannerisms will be different. The way of speaking will be different. So how do you bring it in writing? How do you use what kind of words? Does the character speak as authentic as possible? So whatever way you want to bring that in your dialogue is fine. Okay.
My character
All right.
has
Is allowed all your two
speaks
characters.
in a low pitch like that.
Okay. So I want few of you to now wear that hat.
Born.
Both? Okay?
I'm already wearing it.
Alright. So, all those who hold the hat, can you speak like your character?
Hello, I am Rob. Welcome to my universe. Today I'm going to be talking to you about many different languages I've recently learned. Spanish, Chinese, Portugal, name anything.
Oh, wonderful.
Mom, I have a problem.
Yeah.
Mom, my character is
Honda. and I'll be your conductor for the day.
That's a smart way. But in the book, even if you have a dumb character, you're going to have dialogue.
Yeah, someone else speaks for them.
So you'll have to speak like someone else now.
Everyone, I'm Jen. I'll be the head of your team.
Oh, great.
Hello, my name is Jenny, and I have heard about you guys have come to the Muskaan Literature Festival, and you have a session right now with Savie now. By the way, hi.
Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, then you have to find an interesting way. Let me go on.
You can mix it.
Okay, so a story needs to have more characters.
More hats.
Not more hats. You already have a second hat. Okay. So to now, and your secondary characters are equally important. And they also need a voice. Voices, that means they need a distinct personality. They need distinct physical characteristics. They feel differently. There could be only one incident in your book, and the two characters may look at it in different ways. The perspective is different. Okay, and to make your story interesting, you need dialogues. Just narrating, okay, this happened, he went here, he fell here. That's kind of flat. Dialogues make your story, your reading, your book, your writing interesting. And I believe that, sometimes revealing about your setting, your story setting, can also be done through dialogue. Instead of simply saying that this particular person went to this well and he drank water, that is just plain. But when you do that same thing in a dialogue, wherein the other character said, oh, do you remember the time we went to that well? And the other person said, oh yes, the water was so deep. And then the conversation goes on. And we did not know how to draw water. So we went to the next village. And we requested someone to help us with a pot. And then we looked for a rope. And while we were drawing water, one of us slipped. So when you bring in dialogue, there is not just a description of your setting, but your story gets more strength. There is more depth. There are more scenes. There is more interest. There is more revelation. Alright, that's also part of contemporary writing, because it is being written about the present. And with you, please tell me.
Ma'am, can I narrate a story?
Later, I have time for that. Yeah, running short. So that's how. And for you to look for stories, you have stories around you. You can write about your stories, about your school, about your home, about your friends. Make it funny, and there's humor around you. And I think for children's writing, humor is very important. Children, I feel not.
Yeah, ma'am. Wimpy is so humorous.
I know, it's so humorous. You can roll laughing. So that's important, and humor is around you. You do not have to create humor. You just have to keep your ear to the ground, observe what's happening around you, and use it. Okay, now coming back to your swapped hats. Now let's make the secondary character. You have a hat, you have another character there.
No, I don't have. Can I make this for?
Again, no, this is yours or no? No. So you take another hat, and according to you, now you think who can wear that hat.
I'll make another hat.
It's okay.
Excuse me?
Huh?
I make another.
No. The same hat, what your neighbor has done. You think of a character who can wear your neighbor's hat.
No, you don't have to show.
No. You now think of your neighbor's hat. Now think of a character who can wear this hat. Neighbor's hat.
I need to think of a character.
Okay, are running out of time. We're running out of time. So just think about a character. Okay, anybody who's finished thinking about a character?
Yes.
Of your neighbor's hat? Okay, come. Yes. A second character.
I am the tree king. I will plant this entire world with trees until nothing but trees remain and climate change is destroyed.
What are you saying, you young mustard? Don't you understand? Oh my God. Does it not comprehend? And can you
Stop this noise.
I will defend you. You're spitting on my face.
So the idea of copying hats was to make secondary characters. Okay? Yeah.
The COC class of characters.
My character is actually going to my neighbor's character is actually going to be in English. I is a woman who's going for shopping and then she says, hey, do you have a saree? Can I bargain a saree from you? Why can't I? Then I want to bargain that hat from you. You cannot bargain with anything. No one's talking to you, mister. Okay, if you're not giving me the hat for bargaining, then I'm taking it for free.
Thank you so much. Okay, we have run out of time, I think. And so what you can do further on whenever you go home, whenever you have time is, you make up a dialogue for these two characters. Okay? You make a dialogue and then you can come up with plots and write your next story. A story that's come out of your thinking habits. And thank you so much. Thank you very much.